going to make sure I fix this. Well, welcome to the positive message for today. Before I begin that, let me just begin with my verbal verification as to I am the one and only Atavia GoldStar. The one and only Atavia GoldStar. Everything that I'm saying in this YouTube live stream are all of my ideas and creations coming from my mind, my thoughts, my lived experiences, and my opinions. And now, time for the positive message for today. Time for the positive message for today. I think I want to say my opening again. My verbal verification as to I am the one and only Atavia GoldStar. Now for my verbal copyright. See, that is what I want to make sure I say. My verbal copyright. Everything that I'm saying in this YouTube live stream are all of my ideas and creations coming from my mind, my thoughts, my lived experiences, and my opinion. Yes. So I'm going to begin with my verbal. I'm going to begin. It's been a really rushing morning this morning. So please, my apologies if I'm just not just, this morning, But okay, so now what I want to say, the positive message topic for this morning will be the persistent and the determination. The persistent and the determination. And before I begin that, let me just put on my positive message music. And I thought about this all the whole time. When I laid there and I snoozed the button, I'm like, girl, it's time to get up. I'm like, now you hear that snooze button, time to get up. I'm laying there and I was like, okay. I say the persistence and the determination. Speak on that. Talk about that, say that. And so what I want to say about that is that, when you have something that you know you want to do, that you've created, and that you have been wanting to do for a long time. You've been wanting to do this for a long time, right? And so, you have, been out. Of course, when you want to do something, you're going to begin to kind of like try to find resources. I'm sorry, I'm going to move up a little bit more. You're going to try to find resources on how it is that you're going to do what you want to do. And so you're going to begin to go out and speak to people, maybe ask around, maybe take some classes or, just try to gather your tips or just try to figure out, how you going to do what you're going to do. But in the midst of you trying to find out how you're going to do it, you're just not getting the correct information on how you're going to do what you're going to do. You're not getting it. You're not finding them. Make sure I'm real comfortable over here. You're not getting it. You're not finding it. Everywhere you go, no one is giving you just the correct answer that you need, just to push what it is that you're doing further. Just to push it further. You're not getting none of that. And so But in the meantime, you continue to be persistent and you continue to be determined on what you're doing. So you continue to not give up on the things that you want to do. That's what persistence and determination is to me, as I have experienced it. So you continue to do the things that you want to do, because everywhere you go, I want my music, I want my positive message music on when I'm saying this. So everywhere you go, as I was saying, you're not getting anything. And believe me, when I say I have experienced it, thank you for the hearts. When I say I have experienced it, I do mean that I have experienced that. I mean, I can remember one time in my life where I was somewhere, and this particular place where I was at, and I had a project that I was working on, and my baby, my project, the Atavia show. I wasn't gonna say it, but I just thought I'd say it. I was working on the Atavia show, to put it out there. It's a kids television show broadcast television dance show for kids, based on self-esteem enhancement, and the kids just engaging and dancing and positivity and all of that. And I was out, and I was, trying to get resources on what I wanted to do, which as far as the financial backing for my show. Look at my snooze button still going on. Okay, stop. Duh. That's all I had to do. So I was out trying to get financial backing. There are actually videos out here, like way back when, videos out there of me speaking to someone about that, and them saying, well, what's pretty much the hold up for why you can't do what you're doing. And I remember I used to be like really embarrassed about that. I was like, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to do my show. And I used to be like really embarrassed about that. Because I'm like, how can you be out here doing what you're doing, and yet you don't have the money to do what you're doing? And then it's for the kids, like, how can you be out here? And so I went to places, and I was asking them like different things, because I figured like if I didn't have the money, then I could at least sit under them. That way, when I went out, I could say, well, I'm under this company. This company vouches for me, and here's their letterhead, and here's everything, and this is, a reputable company. They were reputable companies. And I'm like, so now will you put this behind me? No. Didn't get that. And so, but my point into what I'm saying is that these companies that I went out to would tell me, oh, we would tell you what to do. We will tell you what to do. But then if we tell you that, then you won't learn anything. You won't learn anything at all. And so, but in the meantime of all of that, I soaked all of that in. And I still remain persistent and determined. And when I say persistent and determined, and I don't mean just persistent and determined on, if you were persistent and determined, did you get the money for the show? I don't mean that. I mean persistent and determined on building who I am on the inside, on developing on who I am on the inside, that I brought what I was building this far. I didn't give up. I still remain persistent and determined. So even if you don't get the type of resources, look, I've never turned on the music. Even if you don't get the type of resources and backing that you may feel like you want out to get, just remain persistent and determined on building what you're building. Because when you're doing that, that is building your confidence into who you are. No one can tell you about you but you. No one can tell you that. And then guess what? When you're doing that, further you're further developing who you are. You are further developing who you are. So that when you do that, and you have further developed your stuff. I call it your stuff. When you further develop your stuff into who you are, you're standing up there, no one can tell you about your stuff like you know your stuff. And so what I really want to say is that when you're building something on your own, don't expect for people to be there for you to help you. If they want to help you, they're going to be there. And if they don't, you'll see they won't. Because most of the time, people don't, from my experience, they don't want to help you anyhow. You're going to somehow be, and I'm just going to say it because it's my experience, you're going to somehow be a competitor to them. So from my experience and what I have learned, and it took me a lot of years to learn this. No one is going to help their competitor. They're not. Now, if they do, it's because maybe they're closely connected to them. Maybe closely connected, because it took me a lot of years. I'm going to just play this. It took me a lot of years to learn. No one is going to help their competitor. I remember going out so many times with my flyers, and I would go to these different businesses. I say, this is what I'm doing. I'm showing you this. So if you have anybody that might be interested in this, interested in that, or anybody, most of the time, I'm going to say most of the time, I never got a response. And then I had to sit back and think and say, well, I wonder, how come every time I'm out and I'm speaking to people about what I'm doing, most of the time, that I'm not getting a response? And then I said, And most of the time, sometimes when I go out and I'm showing my things, they say, we could use this over here. We could use this over here. Wow, this is something that'll fall right into line with what we're doing. So if someone is saying that, and at that time, I didn't get it. I didn't get it at that time. But then I never got a response back. So then I say, oh, okay. So no one will assist you when you're building your own, you're speaking out about it, and then you have the nerve, you have the audacity, you have the audacity to come over here. Not only are we not going to help you, but because this is similar and you're our competitor, we're going to pinch off of it. And so that is my opinion, and that is like some of the things as me sharing from my lived experience that I have experienced. As far as being persistent and determined, keep on being persistent and determined, meaning keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on keeping this strength inside of you that builds your confidence and say, regardless of that, I'm going to keep on building what I'm building. I'm going to keep on being the greatest and the better in my home life, and I'm going to keep on working on my projects, because if I'm not working on my project, it's still going to be right here. It's still going to be right here. And I know that if I am not working on my project, that's just one more thing I have to keep thinking about, as if you're thinking about an unpaid bill. You know how you think about an unpaid bill and you say, remember, you still got that balance on that bill you got to pay. Oh, don't forget that balance. Don't forget that balance. You know it's so-and-so and so-and-so. You got to pay that balance on that bill. You better get on over there. That is the same way that project or whatever it is that you have inside of here that you have not done, or really, I'm not going to say done, but you're not you're not going to continue to work on. That is the same way that's going to be in here. Thanks for the hearts. It's going to be inside of here like this, like, girl, you still got that balance on that project. Remember that project? The balance on the project you haven't paid any attention to? The balance on that project you haven't been paying attention to, so like the balance on the bill, you haven't been out and you haven't been paying. You have to pay that bill, right? And the reminders is going to continue to be right here in your thoughts. That is the same way with your project or something that you have inside that you really want to see grow. You want to see it grow. You want to see it out there. You want to do your stuff. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But what I will say from my experience, from my lived experience, that when you have something that you're doing on your own, don't expect anybody to be there to help you. They're not. That's why I don't go out. I don't ask anymore. I just hired myself. I gave myself permission to hire myself. And as I was saying, when I thought about their process is not your process, where they are and how they process and got to where they are has nothing to do with me. So I'm going to say it to you. When you have something that you want to do and you're looking over the other way and you're saying, wow, I wonder how they did that. How did they get there? And don't worry about that. I remember that I said that on my platform last night when I was doing my therapeutic rehearsal sessions. Don't worry about how they doing it. You just open up your stuff, you start your stuff, you begin your stuff, and you do it. And be persistent and determined. Persistent and determined, I want to say. Persistent and determined, which is the positive message for today. The persistent and the determination. You keep on doing it. I don't care if you don't even have all the stuff that you need. You keep on doing it, and you do it in your own space. You do it in your own space, in your spare time. Because even if you think, I don't have time. The key thing is to begin. Just start it. The more that you sit down, you're going to begin to fall in love with what you're doing. And another thing I want to say, don't worry about if ain't nobody watching. They watching. I continue. If you notice, you hear me say some of these same things before. They are very valuable. They are very important. Don't worry about if ain't nobody watching. Don't worry about if you don't have no audience, as I experienced that recently too. I remember coming to my YouTube platform one time and saying, and while I'm at it, thank you YouTube for the platform. Thank you to the producers who continue to make these beautiful melodies and this music. But I remember, I'm going to drink some water because a smile is very contagious. And when I drink my water, my eyes are closed. When I close my eyes and I drink my water, that means that water is sure enough good. But so what I want to say is that, so I remember coming to my platform. And when I would come to my platform, I look at other people's platform, which is their process, and I say, how they how they get all of that? How they get all them views? How they get all those subs, meaning those subscribers? I said, how they do that? I want to do that. And then I come to my channel and I be like, my stuff is good. I just want people to see what I'm doing because I want to impact others. I want to encourage others. I want to help others. I want to inspire others. I want to, just strengthen others through my project and what I'm doing, which is the same thing I wanted to do with my kids' television show. I wanted to do that so bad. I wanted to be able to help people. It wasn't even necessarily about the glamour of being on television. I just felt like me being there could be global and it could help like a lot of kids out. But that's that's going to be another topic. So what I'm saying about the YouTube, if you are on YouTube, I used to say, oh, well, how come I can't do this? So how come I can't? Well, I'm here. And then I said, you know what? It ain't got nothing to do with that. It has something to do with you. You keep being persistent and determined. Don't give up. Don't give up. Show up. Be consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent. Because I remember coming to my channel one day and said, I'm going to be out and I'm going to be building my audience. But it was still right here. Remember your YouTube channel? Remember your YouTube channel? You ain't been on your YouTube channel in a while. You ain't paid attention to your YouTube channel in a while. You ain't paid attention. And so, again, that is when I hired myself. I said, I hired myself. I'm here. I'm going to be here 3 hours a night. 3 hours a night. 7 days a week. And I'm going to be consistent. Rain or shine. Consistent. I gave myself permission to do that. And this is why I say I give myself a hand clap. Give yourself a hand clap when you say you're going to do what you're going to do and you stick to it. Yesterday was the 19th night. 3 hours a day. Now there's might have been a couple of nights where I did like an hour or so because I had something important really to attend. But for the most, 99.9% I have showed up here at my YouTube channel consistently 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. And now I'm doing the positive message for today from 6:30 to 6:55, and I see that I have to, go because but I'm gonna say this. But the key thing to the positive message for today is the persistent and the determination. And as you all could see from the examples of what I'm doing, the lived experiences that I have shared with you all, it works. When you're being persistent and determined at what you're doing, you're going to grow. You're going to, like those things that you can't figure out, that you thought that you couldn't figure out, it's going to work itself out. And it's going to keep you on your toes with your positive energy, your positive vibes, and it's going to make you reach higher and go further and further. And that is the positive message for today. I hope you all were inspired and encouraged, and I'm going to do my YouTube language. Wait a minute, I do have a closing. I want to go on, but I can't because I see that I'm late. I'm running late for something that I need to do. So I'm going to go find my closing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. So this is my YouTube language. See my beautiful babies? This comes from persistent and determination. Being persistent and determination. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you might know when I'm uploading more videos or I'm opening up a live stream. I might just pop up and do a video. I might just pop up and do a live stream. So if you subscribe, you will know when I'm doing that. Like, share, comment, like, share, comment. Hit the alert bell. Oh, yeah, hit the alert bell so you will know when I am doing an upload or live stream. And I'm going to say, go on and tell somebody about this channel. I have to say that each time. You have to speak up for what you're doing. You have to be persistent and determined on what you're doing, right? So continue to speak up on what you're doing, being persistent and determined, and have a positive and safe Tuesday. I will see you either tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. or either tonight for my therapeutic rehearsal sessions. Positive love.